Hey, what's up, guys? So, I've been wanting to do a video on how I do my stone washing, and what better way to do that than to do like an acid wash. So, I have a customer's knife. This is actually one that I'm doing for the giveaway that I did. It's been a little while, so I do apologize, but I had to get paying customers out first. So at any rate, we're going to acid wash this, how I do it. And there's probably 20 different ways of doing it. This is just how I do it. First off, this is the solution that I use, which you just get from Radio Shack. And it's fairly inexpensive, $10.49 when I bought it. And you got to put it in something that it's not going to eat through, which glass works. So I just got this little, I don't know, cherry container or whatever the heck it is, and filled it to the top with the etching solution. Now it's a little cold out here, so I don't know how fast this stuff is going to work. I hear a lot of people say that they put their knives in there for a half an hour. I've done that when I'm doing like flame patternings and stuff like that on a blade. You can do that so you get real good definition. But all I'm really trying to do is darken this, so that when I stone wash it, it leaves a nice dark patinaed acid wash. So I don't really need to leave it in there that long. I'm thinking about 5 minutes. So I'm going to put this in there, and I'm going to come back in 5 minutes and check on it. I won't video record that part, but when it's done, I'll let you know. And so then I'll pull it out, I'll put it in this water here. And this is just so I can transfer it to my sink and then rinse the acid off of it, and then start the next step. So let's dunk it in our acid. So it will sit completely covered, and you also notice that I took nail polish and I covered up the pivot areas. I covered up any place that the blade would be meeting any part of the any other part of the knife. I covered up the detent travel area where the detent travels, because you don't want to get that any more textured, because the rougher that is, the rougher the feeling of the blade opening will be. And I also covered the where the blade engages the liner lock. So we'll let that go for about 5 minutes, and we'll come back. Okay, so we've been in the solution for about 10 minutes. A little bit longer than normal, probably because of the cold. It's so cold out here. So I just used a titanium rod to hook it, and you can see that it's nice and dark. So I'm going to put it in my solution, or well, in my water here, I should say. I'm going to go wash it off, and then be right back. Okay, so our blade has been acid etched. I cleaned it off, got the nail polish off with some nail polish remover. Focus. Well, anyhow, so you can see it's off, both sides. Main goal is clearing where the washers sit and your pivot hole, and where your frame lock meets the blade. So it's got a nice, patinaed look. So stone washing. Okay, now this goes for acid washing or regular stone washing. Most people that I know of start off with this stone washer from Harbor Freight. You can get the media, the little blue triangles from there as well. And this has been kind of an evolution of sorts. How I started off doing this was with quite a bit of media in here, water, and a little bit of Dawn dish soap. And the lid on this thing, there's a rubber seal here, and the lid goes down all the way. And when you crank the lid down, you are putting pressure on this tub here, and when it vibrates, it doesn't vibrate a lot. Like, it just kind of jiggles. And the media does not bounce. They kind of just turn and rotate. And what I was seeing was I was just getting a really fine stonewashing. And you hear people say that they stonewashed, overnight, or 10 hours or 12 hours, and I've done that. And you still end up with a very fine stonewashing. You don't end up with a very aggressive stonewashing finish, which is kind of what most people actually like more. So, and this wasn't made for stonewashing, it was made for polishing, which is exactly what it's doing. It's polishing the part, it's not putting aggressive scratches in it. So what I did was I added some stones to give some items in there that have a lot better weight to them. And the other thing is I don't screw the lid all the way down. Actually what I did was I put a couple of nuts right there so they can't go down any further, and a washer. I'm just going to set this blade in there. And the lid now, sorry I can't see what I'm doing. The lid now, when it goes on there and I screw it down, there's a gap here. So now this thing is allowed to vibrate freely. It is 10 times as loud, which is what most people try and avoid. They try and make their stonewasher quieter. The problem with that is that the media in there are not bouncing and coming down and hitting the part harder. And I'll do just a real quick demonstration. It'll be loud and you won't be able to hear it. So I'm going to have to hold on to this thing. I'm going to turn it on without putting any pressure on this. And you'll see the media and everything. Let me take the knife out of there because things can't bounce out. So we're going to do a test. And I'll show you what it looks like with no pressure on this. And then I'm going to put my hands, or my one hand, on it and try and put pressure on it, which is what happens when you tighten down the lid all the way. And you'll see the difference in what the media does. Let's see if this works. So I'm holding it down with my feet so it doesn't get loose on me. Okay, that was fun. So did you see the difference in how the media was bouncing without any pressure on the tub, and then with me putting my hand on it, you could see how everything kind of wasn't bouncing around as much. So the whole point of this is that I want aggressive stonewashing that doesn't take me hours. When I've been doing this method lately, it takes me like 5 minutes. Like I can stand here and wait for it, and it's done. So what I'm going to do is I got to find my washer that bounced off. I'm going to put the blade in there. I'm going to put the lid on. Blade. And the lid. I mean, I first experimented and just actually put a garbage bag over top of this with no lid. To keep the stuff from bouncing out, and that worked just fine as well. But it was tearing up the bag, and it was getting caught on the base of the thing. So I came up with this so that the lid stays on there. Okay, lid's tightened, yet there's a gap here. Now, what this will do is it'll keep everything from bouncing out of it, but it's not going to put any resistance on this tub and let everything in there do a heavy stone wash. So let's turn it on real quick. Again, I'm going to hold on to it with my feet just so it doesn't go flying, which it won't. Okay, bad test. This thing wasn't tightened down all the way. Hold on, let me check this. Okay, sorry. I just didn't have this nut tightened down hard enough. So I'm just going to turn it on for a quick second, and what you'll see is the tub is rotating everything is bouncing, and I only need to run this for 5 or 10 minutes, and it's done. So I'm going to let this go and see how it does. We'll come back in about 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes. I'll check on it and see how the part turns out. Okay, so I just pulled it out, probably less than 5 minutes. And you can see how aggressively that it's stonewashed. Now at this point, it's still smaller scratches, meaning they don't go, how do you say that? It was from the stones just bouncing on top of this. So you don't get any like longer scratches in there. So to finish it off, what I do is I stick it in a Gatorade container with some more media and rocks in there. Put the lid on it and shake it up for a little while. And I only mean 5 minutes. I'm not putting this thing in the freaking dryer or anything dangerous like that. I'm just going to shake it up. And I'm going to shake it up in a couple of different directions. That way, and just do that for like 5 minutes. Now, what that is that's rubbing the pieces lengthwise up and down the blade to give some more pattern to the blade. So let's see what that looks like when it's done. Okay, so one reason why I use a Gatorade container and not a water bottle is that this doesn't have very much room this way for the media to move or fall. This, I've got lots of space that I can really get a good movement on the stones. So now I'm using my iPhone, so I apologize. But there is a lot of longer scratches in it that are not an obvious pattern. So turned out pretty good, and if you don't want it as dark, you just leave it in the stone washer longer, and it just keeps lightening and lightening up. This is the exact same way that I got this finish on here. So this was a bead blasted finish. I anodized blue, and then I put in the stone washer for 5 minutes and got all these nice, I'm going to try and focus, nice textured stone washing by doing it, this way with the lid half off. For like 5 minutes, and then re-anodize it again. So that's how I got the finish on this titanium. So I mean, you can do it acid wash, you can do titanium, you can do just regular stone washing that way, whatever. So I think it turned out pretty good. I'm going to do the rest of this knife the same way so it all matches. But that's pretty much it. If you guys got any questions or comments, or if you have your own way of doing it that you think's better, by all means. I'm just learning here, trying to figure it out as I go. But I did see a definite change in the way, in the patterning and the heaviness of the stone wash with the lid either off or, like I have it set up here, loose. Compared to having it way tightened down. And the solution I use is just water and some Windex. I don't really put soap in it anymore just because it gets too foamy. Make sure you clean your media, because it can, once you start using it, can get all gunked up. And once it gets gunked up and doesn't want to vibrate and bounce, then it's kind of pointless. So I'll finish cleaning this up, and that's how I do it. Alright, thanks guys.